Literally a month ago, the boss of the BBC, Tim Davie, says he wasn't bothered about viewing figures, he just wanted to be relevant. Now he's saying this. Make your mind up. Hi, it's me again, and yeah, he's flip-flopping a bit at the minute, flip-flopping a bit. I think he's under a bit of pressure because there's a lot of change happening at the BBC. He's losing staff left, right and centre. The TV licence fees constantly in debate. Everyone's complaining not making any good stuff at the minute. They're hemorrhaging listeners on their radio stations. Maybe he's a bit overwhelmed with it because there's a bit of a lack of clear direction and leadership from the top. From my point of view, I could very well be wrong. I'm not inside the BBC, I wouldn't know. But from the outside looking at it, that's how it feels to me. And he is flip-flopping a bit. He's flip-flopping a bit. He did a chat like about a month ago, something like that, and he was saying, all we want is to be relevant. We're not chasing viewing figures. Those were his words. He just wanted to be relevant, whatever relevant means. But surely viewing figures are more important, aren't they? Because if people are watching you, you are relevant. Does that work the other way around as well? We could be right. I don't know. But now I see this. Tim Davie sets out BBC-led case for growth. So he's interested in growing the BBC. He wants to grow. The man is obsessed with the BBC taking on Netflix and becoming a global streaming giant, which I think is the future. I think that's the future. I do think that's where it goes. I think, there's so many American ones now, so many American streaming giants. There isn't a proper British one that could go out to the world and showcase the brilliant stuff that we can make in this country. There is a market for that. But he's taking his bloody time about it, isn't he? I mean, iPlayer's ready to rock and roll. All you need is the licenses to be able to use it in other countries. I mean, there's BBC Player, not iPlayer, Player, and that's available in Poland now, where you can pay a subscription, or it might be free, I'll have to check on that. But there's hardly anything on it. Hardly anything on it. I thought that's what BritBox was supposed to be. BritBox was supposed to go out and take over the world and showcase British brilliance. But the BBC don't have too big an investment in that. They want to do it themselves. Then get on and do it. Get on and do it. Stop talking about it and do it. But in the meantime, your main competitor isn't Netflix. Your main competitor is ITV, Channel 4, who are beating you. They're beating you in ratings. You need to be. If you can't beat them, how are you going to take on the streaming giants in a global competition? How? After laying out the BBC's various achievements over its 100-year history, so this was at the Royal Television Society, and Davie set out a blueprint for the future of the BBC in the UK based around 4 key themes. Move to an internet future with greater urgency. Transform the BBC faster to have a clear market-leading role in the digital age. Productively invest in the BBC brand as a global leader and move faster in regulating for future success urgently. So he sounds like he wants to do it. He sounds like he wants to do it. The problem is, I was reading another story, it might even be on the channel now, where they've lost loads of stuff, like the online, on the coders and the computer nerds that make all these online systems. They have a turnover of 23% of the staff in those departments. They can't keep the coders and that because they won't pay them enough. They're all going elsewhere to go and work for someone else who'll give them a safer job and more money. So the BBC are struggling. The BBC really are struggling. And they're just on and on and on to the government for more money, more money, more money, more money. Now, I don't know how much the initial investment in Netflix was. Let's have a look. Yeah, it says here, Netflix raised a total of 121.9 billion over 13 funding rounds. Yeah, it's a lot of money. It is a lot of money, isn't it? But you've got to remember, they had no content. No content at all. So they had to build the infrastructure, get the global licenses to be able to distribute it, and then buy the licenses for the content from content creators and pay to make their own content. BBC already has all of that. The BBC has all the content. Think of the back catalogue the BBC has. And all these tens of millions of hours of shows they must have that they could put online. All they've got to do is develop the app. They already have an app. It wouldn't take a lot of change, wouldn't it? And get the global licenses for distribution of that app in different countries. They don't need 121 billion like Netflix needed. They get 3.7 billion quid a year. A couple of years, of skimming off that. They should be ready to rock and roll. There's no excuse for it. They have the content. The biggest infrastructure or the biggest expense Netflix had was the content. It's not BBC's problem. They've got content. They've also got the app. They've got the platform. They're ready to rock and roll. Why is it taking so long? Regarding the licence fee, which is increasingly the subject of political controversy, Davie said, "We are privileged to have the licence fee until 27-28. But if you take off the period of 2010 to 2028, we forecast that the core funding for the BBC has been cut by a whopping 30%. Yeah, you do have it till 27-28, but time's dragging on a bit towards that, isn't it? And you're going to need a few years to implement a change. So if they want the BBC to go commercial, they need to tell them now. They need to tell them now. Because if it gets any closer to 2027, the BBC can rightly say, well, we haven't got time to implement changing anything now. We need another 10 years. And they will get it. I think I'd prefer that. I think I'd prefer them to get another 10 years of the TV licence fee rather than it becoming like a media levy or a tax or something. Because it's easy to opt out. If you don't need a telly licence at the minute, it's very easy to opt out. I've done it for donkey's years. Many of you have out there. If it goes on a tax, how do you do that? But yeah, I think it's going to get extended. They haven't got time to implement any changes, have they? How long is it going to take them to play? You know how long the BBC take to do anything? In 27-28, they ain't got time to implement any new plans. As we look to the 2030s, we are open-minded about future funding mechanics, but it is crucial that we need a universal solution that fuels UK public service growth, not stifles it, while offering audiences outstanding value for money. All right, I'm going to help you here, Mr. Davie. Let's break that down. So you've got to be open-minded about future funding. Okay, keep that in mind, Mr. Davie. Be open-minded. I'm going to come back to it. But it is crucial that we need a universal solution that fuels UK public service growth, not stifles it. I got an answer for that. While offering audiences outstanding value for money. Okay, I can tackle all of those three things with one idea, and you can have this one for nout. Show ads. Show adverts. So then you're offering audiences outstanding value for money because your services are free. Completely free. No one's got to pay the licence fee. You're funding it yourself. Much like ITV does. It's free to the user. You don't get much more value for money than free, do you? A universal solution that fuels UK public service growth, not stifles it. Going commercial. UK public service growth. Go commercial. Go commercial. You can show advertising. You'll get a new team of people in. You know, you can work with some smaller companies. You can help people out. You can help grow the economy. And you've got to be open-minded about future funding mechanics. You're not that open-minded enough to consider actually going commercial, though, are you? And yeah, I can see why. I can see why. If somebody gave me 100 grand a year, I wouldn't need to work, would I? I could just sit on my arse playing my PlayStation all day. But when you have to earn your own money and pay your own bills, you have to get up and go to work. And BBC don't have that problem. They're being gifted the money every year. They don't have to get up and go to work like the other channels do. So if you want to read the rest of this, it's quite interesting. There's a few other bits I didn't talk about just because I didn't want the video to go on for literally ever. I'll put a link to this down in the description. All the videos I do, if I talk about a story, the link's always in the description so you can go and have a look. Let me know what you think about this all down in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Because that way, hopefully I'll see you in another video again soon, won't I? Ta-da!